morning and welcome to In Depth. I'm Donna Budd, and this morning I'm joined in the studio by Eric Schoen, and Eric is the Deputy Director of the Community Chest in Virginia City. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Donna. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming in. So I asked you this morning how your commute was, but you actually live in Reno and commute to Virginia City.
That's true. Yes.
Nice.
I tell people I'm a little bit like Donnie and Marie Osmond, if people remember the Osmond Show. A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. I enjoy living in the city, and I enjoy serving in rural Nevada.
Nice. And how did you get involved with the Community Chest?
That is a great question. Why did I move to Reno in the first place? Because I fell in love with a lady who lived in Reno. And I didn't see myself living here, but when I moved down and I interviewed, Community Chest is a very special place. The services we provide come from a place of integrity and really honest belief and passion in what we do. And when I interviewed with the folks who were there 20 years ago, that's what I saw. And it's been that way ever since.
Wow, so you've been there 20 years.
Yeah, who would have thought, right?
Yeah, you must have seen a lot of changes.
We have. So, our origin story is our founders, Sean and Debbie Griffin, who are married. They had young kids, and they wanted, Virginia City is a very special place, so is Story County, and they wanted to make sure that the resources were there for their kids to grow up and become the wonderful young men that they've become. And to do that, they started a nonprofit. When they started their nonprofit, it was literally a borrowed desk, one office, and a borrowed phone, and a volunteer. And when I joined, it was 5 employees, and we are now over 30 employees with dozens of programs that serve both Story and Lyon counties, and we also work with other rural counties throughout Nevada as well.
Nice. And what would you say is the mission of the Community Chest?
Yeah.
Or missions, perhaps.
Well, so here's the hard thing about our agency, right? So a lot of agencies, nonprofit agencies, are sort of single service, single focus. So if you're a food bank, you say, hey, we provide food. If you are a domestic violence shelter, you can say, hey, we provide shelter for folks who have domestic violence. We're sort of all of those services. That's part of what we do. And so we have a more general mission statement, which is generally to bring resources to people to help themselves. We don't want to constantly be the source of support. We want to help them develop the relationships they need, the resources they need, discover their talent so that they can go forward and have wonderful lives. So however we can meet that need, we do provide food services. We do provide counseling services. We do have a mobile preschool. It's called the Classroom on Wheels Cow Bus. It's painted with brown splotches, and it goes up and down the rural byways and Highway 50 in Lyon County. We do all of those things, but it's to help catalyze people's capacity to have wonderful lives of meaning and value. And that's primarily what we do, and that's what we hopefully do.
And where is the organization based?
Great question. So we are still, our primary office is in Virginia City. We just, a few years ago, built the first half of our community center. We are optimistic that we will be able to finish that in 2017, which is exciting. We also have offices in Dayton and Fernley, and we provide services as far as Tonopah, as far as Urington and Silver Springs. But I would be remiss if I only focused on the social service side of what we do. We also try to drive conversations with communities, with organizations about how we can work in a more, what's the best way to say this, more relationship-based way, a more personal way, because I don't think that we as providers can do it all. We have to have conversations about what it means to be in relationship with one another in community, how we care for one another, how do we be good neighbors? If we see our next door neighbor who's a senior citizen who needs help, how do we reach out? Because we've sort of lost some of, if we had that when early in our history as a country, I think we've lost some of that. And so helping communities figure out how they can support one another, support their neighbors, their loved ones, that's really what we're trying to do.
Sounds great. What are some of the programs that you have going on?
So on the social service side of what we do, soup to nuts. So we have a food closet where we provide food boxes for seniors, for people who otherwise need a little bit of help because maybe their budget doesn't cover quite all the expenses that they need. And what's really unique about that program is it's set up on a barter basis, meaning that we feel people get more out of a program if they're able to contribute something of value. So it doesn't feel like a handout. So in exchange for volunteering, if they're able to, they are able to receive a food box. Now, for those that can't don't worry about it. But for those that can, we try to create it so that it's a meaningful exchange for them and that they end up feeling like they're contributing something important. We have comprehensive youth programs. So we have a before and after school youth program, a summer program for elementary students. And that's a very comprehensive, holistic program. We incorporate the arts, we incorporate tutoring, we incorporate service. They even run their own business during the summer where they run our farmers market for us. So they learn how to interact with the public, how to count change. They have a garden that they tend to, and they sell the produce that comes from that. We have work programs for people who are unemployed, adults who are unemployed. Maybe they need training. So we help to connect them with the training. We've hooked a number of people up with CDL licenses so that they can earn a livable income. People who formerly didn't have a job now are able to provide for their families and moving forward. We have a similar program for out-of-school youth. What I mean by that are youth ages 18 to 24 who maybe they weren't able to get their high school diploma or their GED. They can come work with us. We will help them get that, help them find work experience, and then hopefully take off from there. We also have comprehensive counseling programs, and by that I mean substance abuse counseling, mental health counseling. We have case management. We have integrated medical, physical health programs, and again, we have that preschool program that I talked about where you have a school bus that's been retrofitted, so all the seats have been taken out, and it's now a mobile preschool that can go up and down the rural byways and take the services to people who need them. And that's one of the things that we found. In providing programs to people who are in rural Nevada, well, let me back up a little bit. When I first moved here, I was only familiar with working in urban areas. I'd lived in Phoenix, I've lived in Portland, and I was familiar with urban poor. If somebody didn't have transportation, that was actually a pretty easy fix for me. I could give them a bus token, and they can get their way from point A to point B. In rural Nevada, if you don't have transportation, it's like not having water in the desert. And so what we have found is that we oftentimes need to take resources to people where they live in their communities. It's not because people are lazy. It's because people are looking at their budgets and they're trying to figure out, okay, $20 for gas, that'll get me here and here. I may not be able to get to my medical appointment because that's just too far for me. It may be hard for me to get to a job if I don't have reliable transportation. I may not even be able to get food. So helping people be successful where they're at by bringing resources to them has proven to be a really important strategy for helping them be successful.
Mm-hmm. Very cool insights, definitely. I am chatting with Eric Schoen. He is the Deputy Director of the Community Chest, which is based in Virginia City. Eric, you must have a lot of community partners.
We do have a lot of partners. And what's interesting, I think one of the gifts that our founders gave, and Sean is still the Executive Director, is a lot of organizations, I think, have gotten into, I think, sort of the false choice that other providers sometimes are competitors. And so they've been reluctant to partner. We didn't start off that way. What we believe is that the more people who join hands, the better the strategy, the better the effort, the more likely we can share resources, the more successful we'll be for everybody. And so rather than seeing it as competition, we see collaboration as a good thing. If one of our partners ends up getting a wonderful grant, they can provide more services, it helps all of us. This isn't, people may or may not know, but we are in a national health care crises, if you will, with respect to the workforce. We simply don't have enough capacity. We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough mental health therapists. That's particularly true in Nevada. And that's for a variety of reasons. But to whatever degree we can help communities to be strong, then that's a win for all of us. So our partners include all of the sister nonprofits throughout Story and Lyon counties, includes Health and Human Services in Lyon County, includes the probation officers who work with the kids who are struggling. It includes a lot of programs and services in Washoe County as well as the state of Nevada. So yeah, we have a variety of partners. We also have private funders who believe in what we do and help to give us money for projects that we're trying to grow. Yeah.
And where does your funding generally come from?
Yeah, so complicated. So the reason that's not as easy to answer, but I can actually answer it pretty easily, is we have funding from probably 36 different funding streams. And that includes, again, the private foundations, include state and federal grants, includes fee-for-service programs. And our programmatic philosophical model is that we don't let inability to pay preclude somebody from being able to participate. If somebody doesn't have the resources, we can oftentimes slide them in under a particular grant and pay for the needed service so that they can get what they need and what they want.
If there is a resident in the areas that you serve who may need assistance, how could they find out what types of services you have? What's the best way to connect with you to get resources?
For the folks who live in Story and Lyon counties, the best way to get a hold of us is probably just to pick up the phone and call us. I know that can be a scary step, especially if you're somebody who needs help to get over oftentimes the sense of shame of not being able to be the provider for the family or feeling like a failure. I actually see it as a sign of courage and a sign of strength when somebody picks up that phone. And so for me, it's a terribly wonderful privilege that I have to be on the receiving end of those calls. So the best thing to do is to realize we're not going to judge you. We will bend over backwards to try to meet your need and to give us a call. And our phone number is 775-847-9311.
Okay.
And somebody will help you. Nice. And if that's not the response people get because somebody had an off day or what have you, I want people to let me know personally, because that's not what we strive to provide.
And do you have a website with further information?
We do. And so the difficulty with websites is keeping them current, but we're doing our best. So, yeah, you can go to our website as well, and it's communitychestnevada.net.
And speaking of funds, you do have an exciting fundraiser coming up on Friday. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so on Friday, April 8th, we have our annual A Night to Imagine fundraiser. And what makes it really special is that we bring in a really great band and we put them in a really great venue. The reason this event started was we wanted to have an annual event where we could celebrate with our supporters for all this wonderful work that we do and provide an opportunity just to have some fun. And if we can raise some money as well, great. We're happy to raise some money too. So this is a continuation of that tradition. The location, first of all, you can't replicate it. It's historic Piper's Opera House in Virginia City. I tell people, so you should come up for dinner beforehand, go to one of our wonderful restaurants, and just make a night of it. You can also stay at a bed and breakfast or stay at the local motel and make a night of it. So the doors open at 6:30. The show starts at 7:30. It'll be over around 10, and there's plenty of time to go out carousing afterwards if you want to. So what's this year's show? This year's show is a wonderful band called Poor Man's Whiskey. I've listened to them. I think they are a wonderfully talented group of musicians. They will be doing one set of original work, and I think they're primarily bluesgrassy-ish, if I use that term kind of loosely, but bluesgrassy-ish of their own set of their own music. And the second set, which is really exciting for me, they will be covering Paul Simon's Graceland album in its entirety. So it should be a lot of fun. If you haven't been to Piper's Opera House, it's been restored. It's a historic building. It's got wonderful acoustics, and it'll be a good time.
Nice. And where are tickets available?
So tickets are available in Reno, and I have to remember we have them at Sundance Bookstore. We also have them available in Virginia City at the Red Dog Saloon, Pizzeria. We have them available in Carson City at Kama Coffee and Benson's Feed Store. We also have them available personally, and if you don't care if you have a physical ticket immediately in hand, you can go to our website, communitychestnevada.net, and on the front page, there will be a link for you to order your tickets.
Perfect. And if someone happens to be in Virginia City on Friday evening looking for something to do, could they also get tickets at the door?
Oh, yes, they could. Yes.
And how much are tickets?
Tickets are $50, and that is it covers everything. It covers the show. It covers just the good times, and it'll be a good time.
And the entrance into that historic venue.
That's right. Yeah.
Virginia City has such a great vibe.
It is. And I think people are appreciating that a little bit more. I mean, I think we've always appreciated it, but I think people are starting to appreciate it even more. And Virginia City is really, they've been trying to enhance their historical attributes, and I think they've been doing a better and better job, so that's really become a great place to go.
Nice. I'm chatting with Eric Schoen. He's the Deputy Director of the Community Chest. I'm Donna Budd. Thanks for joining us for In Depth this morning. Eric, do you utilize a lot of volunteers?
We do. As I mentioned before, we started off with volunteers, and the reason we utilize volunteers, well, there's several reasons, but one is for people to have a place where they can contribute to the life of their community, and that's something special. I have volunteered myself. I've volunteered at the Catholic Charities dining hall, and I can tell you I get so much more out of serving the food. I just get a lot out of that. And so we provided similar volunteer opportunities in Story and Lyon County so that people can have that sense of connection, contribute value to their communities. And so whether it's our youth programs or our food program or what have you, we do utilize volunteers all throughout.
Okay, so no matter what your skill is or your preference, you could probably find something to do.
Yeah, so if people are thinking that they want to be a part of who we are and they're not sure where they would fit, I love having conversations and trying to figure out where that might be in the organization.
Okay, and again, best way is call you maybe.
Call us, 775-847-9311.
Eric, what is one of your favorite facets of being involved with the organization? There's probably more than one.
Well, yeah, so yesterday, let me tell you something that happened yesterday. There has been a woman, a senior citizen, who's been terrified of the computer for a long, long time. And she, really sort of to the point of being almost phobic of using the computers. And she came in yesterday for her first session, and I got to do it. It's all hands on deck where we work, and so I got to be the person who showed her how to turn that computer on, who showed her how to click and double click, who showed her how to get on the internet. And that simple thing, I know it seems really simple, but by the end of the 45 minutes, she was surfing the internet. She was looking up things that mattered to her, and she was able to find things that she enjoyed learning about. And that sense of confidence, when she came in, it was like she was dressed up for her first day of school, and that excitement, being able to be of service in that kind of a way is such, as I mentioned before, it's such a privilege.
Yeah, that opens up a lot of resources to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm wondering about the food closet that you have, the donations. Do you take donations of food, or do you partner with organizations to get the food for the closet?
So we receive donations in a variety of ways, and we partner. So let me talk about the donations. A couple of local area churches, they actually raise money through their weekly collections and will help us to buy foodstuffs that we need. So they just give us the money so that we can go buy that. We also have some grants that do the same thing. We partner with the Northern Nevada Food Bank. We also partner with Catholic Charities because they both have different food programs that help to support our residents. And if we end up with more donations than we can manage, we send that down to our sister agencies in Lyon County because there's such a big need as well in Dayton and Silver Springs. Actually, throughout rural Nevada, there's a huge need, and I don't know that people living in Reno always know that, but the further out you get from the city core, if you will, the more spread out resources become.
Mm-hmm. Eric, we have a few moments left on In Depth this morning. Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Well, really, if I stay on message with the show, I think if people haven't been to Virginia City, if they have and they know how special it is, if you haven't been to Virginia City, you ought to make plans on Friday night to come up, have dinner, like I said, at one of our area restaurants, stay the night if you can, and plan on a really great show because Piper's Opera House, back in the day, they didn't need to have any amplification because the acoustics were that good. Wow. So you're in a very wonderfully acoustic environment, very historic environment, and you have wonderful music that will just hopefully, for a couple of hours, take away all of your cares, all of your worries, and just leave you with good feelings.
It's a great way to explore a historic venue, enjoy a great night of entertainment, and support an awesome organization. I actually really want to get down to the Mark Twain Museum down there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
go
a wonderful
down
place
early,
too.
make a whole day of it.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a great place to explore.
It is, yeah.
Okay, and Eric, can you give us the phone number again if folks have more questions, and also the website?
Sure. So the website first is communitychestnevada.net. You can go there, find out more information about the show, and buy tickets. And our phone number is 775-847-9311.
Okay, perfect. Eric Schoen, the Deputy Director of the Community Chest in Virginia City, based in Virginia City, has services throughout our rural region. I really appreciate you coming in this morning and sharing your thoughts, your enthusiasm, and your passion for the organization and our community with us.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a delight.
Absolutely, and we look forward to checking in with you a couple months down the road and see how things are going.
Perfect. Love to do it.
Okay, Sounds good. Thank you. And thank you for joining us this morning for In Depth. I'm Donna Budd. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you again next Sunday morning. Aloha.